G'day guys, are you guys looking to do the epic raid? Do you guys know all the changes in the new encounters? Well, if not, I've got you covered. I'm going to go through video by video, take you through all of the new mechanic in the new encounters for the epic raid Desert Perpetual. Alright guys, so in this first one, I'm going to be looking at Latros. This is the first one I did, so I'll show you how it works guys, all the ins and outs. So if you're keen for that, stick around and let's get right into it, eh? Alright, to start off with guys, we're going to go through some housekeeping on some of the new mechanics that they added. So first of all, each of the towers that you shoot the boxes from, they have their own buff associated with them. If you don't have the buff, you are not going to be able to break the boxes. You're just going to hit immunes. All right, so I'm going through these from height, not location. So for the tower at the bottom, the lowest tower in the middle here, that one you need the constant buff, which you get from right down the bottom on the low platform. Then for the mid tower, you need the absolute buff, which you get in the center of the arena, right in the middle there. And then for the top tower on the right here, you need the silical buff, which you get from the top near spawn. The other thing guys, which I'll get into more depth soon with, each of the boxes from top to bottom have their own color. So at the top, that's blue, the middle is white, and the bottom is red. And we'll get more into that soon, but that, just so you know, that is the color of the boxes. You can only shoot it depending on what you've been told to shoot, basically. I'll show you. All right, so with that out of the way guys, basically how you're going to want to set up your team is that you're going to want to have, at the start of it, you're going to have 3 groups of 2 that are all going to split up into 3 different areas. One right down the back near the bottom tower, then you're going to have one going over to the left here near the mid tower, and you're going to have one group going up to the top right near the silical tower. All right, so all 3 groups are going to go to their areas, and that's where the minotaurs for the start are going to spawn. There's going to be these vex pools, which I might be able to show you here, all around the arena. By stepping in that, you can see what color buff you need to be depositing. At each of these 3 areas, the minotaurs are going to drop different colored buffs. All right, so once someone is able to see what color you need first, the group that has that color picks their buffs up and goes and puts it through 2 at a time. So you go together, because after you've deposited one color, then you're going to have about 3 seconds before it changes to a different color. The same way that Korogos works in the final encounter of the regular normal Desert Perpetual. All right, so once you've done the first one, you're going to need to step on another bit of fluid guys, and that's going to show you the second color you need. That group's going to go chuck their 2 in, and then the third one, you don't need to step on a pool of vex fluid, because you're going to know it's just going to be process of elimination. Whatever the last color is, that's what you chuck in. So if the first one's blue and the second one's white, the last one will be red. The other thing to know about this guys is that throughout that current encounter, that's going to be the same order it goes in the whole time. Okay, so for the rest of the encounter, and you're going to have to take care of this before you get started, so 2 people are going to be on Chronon duty, just like usual basically. The only thing different for them is that they have to keep following the order. All right, so usually they're going to want to stick together, and they're going to be going back between these 3 locations, which are going to be still spawning the same colored buffs. So red's going to spawn up top the whole time if it starts up there. All right, but it changes each round, so just keep that in mind. But basically they just have to keep doing it in order the whole encounter, even during DPS. As for the climbers guys, the climbers role is exactly the same as the normal raid, except for one thing. They have to call out the order that we're going to be shooting the poles basically. So as you'll see here guys, there is 3 different towers at each of the climbing locations. They all have different heights. There's a tall, there's a medium one, and there's a small one, and they're all going to have different colors on them. So one might be red, one might be blue, and one might be white. That is going to be the order from tall to bottom that you have to call out as the climber. That is what the shooters are going to shoot, and that's what we'll get into in a bit. Otherwise, the climbing role is exactly the same as the regular encounter guys. Okay, all right, and for the meat and bones of this encounter, the shooting one has Bungie really gave it a major overhaul. This is extremely different to how it is in the regular raid, and this is probably going to be the hardest role to do in this encounter. All right, so basically what you're going to do after all the buffs have been deposited at the start, you're going to go head over and you're going to have to pick up your buff, which I outlined at the start. So if you've been nominated to do silical, then you're going to be getting the buff from the spawn. If you've nominated constant, you're going to be getting it from the bottom, and if you've nominated absolute, you're going to be getting it from the mid. All right, and then your buffs also are associated with the towers, like I said. So say you're absolute and you've gotten it from the mid, then you have to do the mid tower to start off with. At least I'll get into that in a bit. So you're going to grab your buff, everyone's going to grab their buffs and get into position at their towers. Then the person doing the climbing is going to call out the order. The other thing you're going to have worked out before you get started guys is what order each of the tower guys are going to be shooting in. So say for me, I'm on absolute, the mid tower, and I'm going to be shooting the second call of each one. So say the climber calls blue, white, red. That means that my call is white, which is medium. So that's how that correlates. The person who got the first call, who is blue, is going to be shooting the top of their tower. Me, I'm going to be shooting the middle of my tower. And the person who got red, third call, is going to be shooting the bottom of their tower. And this all has to be at the same time on the 4th diatol tick, just like the regular encounter. But that's the difference here, guys, is that you're all going to be shooting different boxes at the same time. And this is how you know. So you nominate which of the order you're going to be shooting. So yeah, like I said, say I take the first one of the order, that means I'll be shooting, and they call blue, white, red, I'll be shooting blue at the top. Second person will be shooting white at the middle and red at the bottom. But it might not always be in this order. The order will always change. So it could be white, white, red, which would be middle for me, middle for the second guy, and then bottom, red for the last guy at the bottom. There's a lot going on with the shooters in this one. So you're just going to have to make sure you're prepared for that. All right. That's not all though, guys. Not only that. So after you've gotten through one of those, you have to do it 3 times, just like the regular one. So you can build the complete climbing platforms. All right. The difference with that is that after each set that you do, sometimes your buff can change. It just magically changes. Don't ask me why. I don't know why it does that. Bungie just added it in to make it even harder for us. All right. So basically, say I'm absolute to start with, it could swap to the second one, and I could be constant, meaning I need to go to the bottom tower. You still do the same order that you've set in the start, but you just have to do it at a different tower. So you need to be taking care and looking at your buff after every one. There's no sound cue, nothing that tells you other than looking at the top of your screen and looking at your buff to see if it's changed. Sometimes all of yours can change. Sometimes no one's will change. So you just need to keep looking at that after every time. So that is basically the shooting for this encounter. It's a lot more complex. There's a lot of moving pieces, but once you've got it down, it really isn't that hard. I wasn't enjoying it at the start, but once I started getting the hang of it, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. We did get there in the end. So stick with it, guys. That's the shooting. Definitely the hardest part of this encounter. Another thing I should have mentioned, guys, is when the diatol is ticking, every time the tick goes fully through to the 4th tick, it's not just going to bounce you up. It's going to also strand suspend you. So for this, you don't actually want to let it bounce you up. For this epic raid encounter, you're going to want to be doing the jump yourself at the end of the 3rd one. So you're already in the air. If you're already in the air, you won't get suspended. All right. That's another little wrinkle they added in. If you do get suspended, it's a lot harder to hit your shot at that exact timing that you need. So definitely do a little hop yourself. You'll see me doing it in this video, and that's how you can avoid that. Finally, guys, DPS. For the most part, luckily, it is the same. The only thing is you're going to want to be jumping on that at the end of that 3rd diatol pulse once again, because otherwise you're going to be getting suspended the whole DPS phase, basically. The only other thing is, and this goes for the whole raid, basically, if this is your first encounter, you don't have to worry. If this is your second encounter, though, you're going to be getting some of the mechanics from other bosses. So you'll see in this one, for me in particular, the group I was with and the raid instance that I was in, they'd already beat Agragos, the hobgoblin. So you'll see in this one, during DPS, where there's actually a ball in the sky and it is sniping us, it's giving us the buff that will kill us if we stay in it for 10 seconds, that one from that other encounter. So you just have to keep in mind what encounters you've done, because you're going to be getting an extra mechanic the further you go into this epic raid, guys. So for this one, we had a little sniper shooting us, so we just had to make sure we kept getting out of its line of sight. Made DPS a little bit annoying, but yeah, just keep that in mind as well, guys. All right, I hope that makes some sense, guys. I tried my best to explain everything in as much detail as possible without it also being like a 25-minute long video. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully you can get through this encounter, guys. It's not too bad once you get the hang of it, of doing all this extra mumbo jumbo. All right, so please give it a go, guys. It is pretty fun, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'm gonna have a Epitos one coming out, the Hydra coming out pretty soon as well. Catch you later, guys. Have a good one.